Hi again, Mark here from Talking Bass. This week I'm going to give you a quick lesson on a fill. Now, this is a fill that you are definitely going to have to learn if you're looking to play in any disco cover bands or function bands that play 70s disco or funk tunes. It's from the song Car Wash by Rose Royce and it sounds like this. So this line is played by the awesome Lequient Duke Jobe, who also played on other Rose Royce hits like Wishing on a Star. It's a slap line that can be quite tricky to hear. It's not the usual snappy, bright tone that you hear on lines by Marcus Miller or Mark King that sound more like, you know, that stuff. It's more of a bouncy, percussive line that sounds totally slapped, so there's no pops. It's also important to note here that Duke plays around with this fill throughout the tune. So I'm going to give you the basic line that he uses most of the time, but there are some variations thrown in there. If you're going to play it in a band, you can play around with it, but if you want to just stick to one fill, then this one will be fine. So we can enter this fill in one of two ways. There's the intro riff that ends like this. Or we have the chorus riff that sounds like this. And then we're in. Either way, we're going to end on a D and then shoot up the neck to play this fill. And then we're back down to the D. So in terms of the basic notes, it's worth knowing that we come in on the and of one, so it's one and-a, and for that and-a, we're going to have C to D there. So it's 10th fret to 12th fret on the D string. We slap the first note and then we hammer on. So then we have a ghost note. So you just lay the hands lightly across the strings to get that bang like that. So, and then we slap again on the C 10th fret of the D string. So, and then we drop down to the G there, 10th fret of the A string, hammer on again to the 12th fret, so it's G to A, so another ghost note, so then we move down to the F at the 8th fret of the A string, then down to the D, 10th fret of the E string, and then we finish on a C, which slides down, so that's going to be the 8th fret of the E string. So, very slowly, 1. Then we're back down to the D. So again, very, very slowly. 1. So the only tricky stuff here is going to be the rhythm and the ghost notes. The ghost notes, you've just got to get used to that bangy dead note, holding the hand down lightly on the neck. And, you know, I've covered this many, many, many times on the channel. So I'll link to some lessons in the info below. You know, I talk about that a lot. So there's ghost notes, and then there's just the rhythm. So in terms of the rhythm, you can just listen to the original and just feel it. But if you want to get a little bit more specific with it, you can, you know, count through it. So we've got 1. So, you know, we're landing on the D on 1. So 1 and then 2E. So 1 and 2E. So 1 and 2E. So you could just play that in isolation. 1 and 2E. So we're hitting the ghost note on the 2, so 1 and 2E. 1. 1 and 2E. And then we have the A leading in to the 3, so A 3E and 4 and. A 3E and 4 and. A 3E and 4 and. So that's going to be 1 and 2E and A 3E and 4 and. Very easy if you can read music. You can just read the music that I've written out there. You know, like I said, you can just feel this by listening to it. But, you know, if you want to get super specific, or if you're finding it a little bit tricky to get the syncopation in there, that's when it's worth just breaking it down and clapping out those rhythms and then just transferring it to the bass. 1 and 2E and A 3E and 4 and. Now, in terms of the lead in, if you're finding it quite tricky to play the and then jump up, one tip I've got is that you can actually just hammer on the final time on the D there. So you don't pick that last note, and then you can jump up. Okay, so. So you want to start out really, really slowly with this and then just build up speed. And I would recommend playing the D in there before you play the fill, before practicing it in isolation. So you might play, and then try to play the D again at the end. When you play the C there at the final note of the fill, it's a slide down. So you slide down, and then you just pick again on the D. Okay, so there's a little bit going on in the hands here. So we've got, and you have the choice. You can either slap that C and slide down, or if you're finding it tricky to move back onto the D picking, you can just, pick the C. So either way, it doesn't matter because that slide is going to be on the hit with the snare there. So etc. So, like I said, start slowly, and then just build up speed. Now, from a theory perspective, just in case you want to know what's going on here, it's all pretty straightforward. It's a basic D minor pentatonic scale. This is a very, very popular scale for use in bass fills, especially slap fills. The D minor pentatonic is D, F, G, A, C, D, which when played up in that position, we could play it as the popular first finger starting pattern, so that would be, which is played down here. A lot of you will know that pattern if I played it down here because it's a little bit easier there. So we can have D and F, so that's going to be 5th and 8th frets on the A string. Then you've got the 5th and the 7th fret for the G and the A on the D string, and then the 5th and the 7th frets on the C and the D on the G string. So 5th and 8th fret, 5th and 7th fret, 5th and 7th fret. So that's a D minor pentatonic, the way that most people play it, but a lot of the time in application, you end up playing it like this. So down here, we would have 5th fret on the A string, then 3rd fret on the D string, 5th and 7th fret on the D string, and then up to the 5th and 7th fret on the G string. So we've taken that F there and we've moved it down here, and that just makes it easy to play with the 1st and 3rd fingers. And you can slide and do all that. It's a little bit easier to play those fills like that, okay, rather than bringing this 4th finger into play. That's another valid way of playing it. You want to know both. But this line is using that 3rd finger start coming down to the 3rd and up. Okay, so it's the D minor pentatonic scale. Okay, so that's the cool slap line from Car Wash. Give me a like, subscribe to the channel for weekly bass lessons, and leave me a comment to let me know what other riffs or fills you'd like me to break down. The lesson material is there over at the Talking Bass website, so check that out, and then you can subscribe to the totally free membership to gain access to a ton of free practice resources, chat groups, forums, and free downloads like the Scale Reference Manual. Like I said, the subscription is totally free, but there are also premium courses in there if you want to deep dive into any bass topics. And I cover a lot of bass topics in there. So go check it out, and I'll see you next week.